Hello everyone, to a new video about the SAT Math Guide. This video we will be talking about linear word problems. And so you may ask yourself, have we seen already linear problems? We have, of course, but those are the simple ones. Now we're gonna integrate what is the words. Why? Because the SAT is mainly full of sentences, full of complete phrases that we must decipher using algebra. So I have brought in a bunch of cases, a bunch of exercises for you and I to practice. So let's start. I want you to listen the parent statement and then we'll do it. If a plus b is equal to 94 and b is 16 years younger than a, then find both ages. How do we do that? Alright, so x would be the age of a, right? What would be the age of b? If we knew that b is 16 years younger than a, it would be x minus 16, right? We also know the following, that a plus b is equal to 94. That is true, then we shall do the following. A, we know that it is x. Plus continues being the plus. But what about b? B, we knew that was x minus 16. Everything in that side is equal to 94. So how can we find it? Let's apply linear equations, what we saw last time. And if you didn't know, well, this video is beginner friendly, so don't worry. X plus x is equal to 2x. What about the 16? The 16 has to pass to the other side to do the opposite, to add. 2x is equal to 94 plus 16. Perfect. Now what happens? After putting the common variables, which are x's in here, and the common constants on this other side, right? So what happens? We know that 2x is equal to 110, right? 94 plus 16 is 110. What happens next? X is equal, therefore, to 110 over 2. Why? Well, 2 is multiplying, right? So you can pass it to the other side to do the opposite, like we did with the 16. But this time to divide, alright? The opposite of multiplying would be the division. And the opposite of subtracting would be the adding. It happens every single time. So now, let's do the division. We know that the half is gonna be 55, correct? Now, what does that mean? I know that x equals to 55, of course, we just found it. But that means that that is the age of a. We have to still find the age of b. It's not gonna be that complex. We just have to apply the fact that b is equal to x minus 16. And so, if b is equal to x minus 16, b is equal to what we just got from x, which is 55 minus 16. Do the subtraction. How much is it? B is equal, therefore, to 39. There we go. That would be the age that B will obtain in this exercise. So what about we start talking about the money? Well, let's start with our second example, which will be the following. A notebook, a folder, and a pair of shoes cost $65. The notebook cost $8 more than a folder and $25 less than a pair of shoes. So how much is each? What shall we do? Alright, first of all, what is the least valuable variable we have? Folder, right? So x is gonna be the folder. X is gonna be the least valuable item in that list. Now, the notebook costed $8 more than a folder, right? So x plus 8 is gonna equal the notebook. Perfect. What else did we have? That the notebook costed $8 more than a folder and $25 less than a pair of shoes. That means that a pair of shoes cost $25 more than the notebook. And so, it is the notebook, which is x plus 8, plus the $25. That would be the pair of shoes, correct? What happens? All of those three, all of those are gonna be equal to 65. But we need to check the amount for each. So how shall we do it? First of all, let's find the lowest costing variable, which would be the x. What did the x represent? The folder, right? So what happens? Let's pull out of those three in the form of a linear equation. X plus 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 25, and that would be equal to what? To 65. Now what should we do? Alright, first of all, let's start adding the x's. X plus x plus x. We know that we have 3 x's, so it would be 3x plus, and then we have 8 plus 8 plus 25. 8 plus 25 would be 33, plus 8 would be 41. That is equal to what number? To the 65, correct. We must put the x's on one side and the numbers on the other. So what happens with the 41? It passes to the other side to subtract, to do the opposite. Of course, we already know that. And so, 3x would be equal to 65 minus 41. So start thinking about it. Of course, do it without a calculator, and then I'll see you in the next page. If it gave you the value of 24, then you're correct. Now what happens next? X would be equal to 24 over 3, right? Because since the 3 is multiplying, it passes to the other side to the bottom. What is the third part of 24? 8. That would be our solution, but that is only for the folder, the least valuable item. What about the notebook? Did you remember the equation for it? X plus 8. We only have to do the following. X plus 8 what would be equal to? X we already know that is 8, and 8 plus 8 it will give us 16. And so that is the answer. X plus 8 is equal to 16. So that is our notebook. What about the pair of shoes? We are missing a little bit. Remember the dollar sign, since it's only on prices. Now what happens? The shoes, it goes for the same thing. X plus A plus 25, right? But we know that X plus 25 is already 33. X plus 33, what would be equal to? So we already knew that X is equal to 8. Right? So 8 plus 33 is equal to 41. And so that would be the cost of our shoes. What have we found? We have found the folder, the notebook, and the pair of shoes. How about that? Let's pass to the third problem, which is 3 consecutive numbers added is 174. What are those 3 numbers? Alright, what shall we do? We know that those are consecutive, right? And so if we put the x as the lower value, what would be the one in the middle? The one in the middle would be x plus 1, right? Those are consecutive. So x plus 1 is equal to the number in the middle. Now what happens with the highest number? The highest number would be x plus 2. There are many other ways you can do this. For example, you can put the x as the middle, the x minus 1 as the lower, and the x plus 1 as the highest. You can do that as well. That's completely fine. But for now, let's do it this way. You can do it that way. You can do it many other ways. You have an amazing imagination. Do it however it finds best. The first step is to find, of course, the x value. And so, we know that the lower value plus the middle value plus the highest value is equal to 174. Therefore, x plus 1 plus x plus 2 is gonna be equal, of course, to 174. How many x's do we have? We have 3. What does the numerical value gives us in the left side? It gives us 3. And 174 remains as that. We pass the 3 to the other side. You tell me to subtract or to add. I don't know. You guys are the ones to tell me. So 3x is equal to 174 minus 3. Of course, it does the opposite. Remember. Now what happens next? 3x would be equal to 171. Perfect. This is the harsh part. And so x is equal to 171 over 3. How can we divide? Do you guys know divisions? Well, if you don't, then check this out. 171 divided 3, correct? What is the lower value that is a multiple of 3? That is closest to the 17. It's gonna be 15, right? And what number shall we multiply the 3 to get to 15? It's gonna be 5. Of course, 3 times 5 is gonna be 15. If we subtract 17 and 15, it's gonna give us 2, correct? Now we pass this 1 to here. So 21. Now, is 21 a multiple of 3? Of course it is. But what would be the number multiplied by 3 that gives us that number? It's gonna be 7. 3 times 7 is gonna be 21. And that gives us a remainder of 0. X is gonna be equal to 57. Now that was the value. The lower, the middle, or the higher. In my case, it's gonna be the lower. Now, what happens if we want to find the middle? So it would be x plus 1 is equal to what? We already know x, right? It's 57. And 57 plus 1 is gonna be equal to 58. That would be the number of the middle. What about the third part, which is gonna be the higher? X plus 2, what would be equal to? Alright, x is gonna be 57, right? In this dimension, in the other one, and in all the cases that we would choose for this scenario. It won't change. So 57 plus 2 is gonna be equal to 59. So we had a lower, a middle, and a higher. The problem is the following. How can we check it? Alright, no worries. Did you remember that I once told you that the lower plus the middle plus the higher was equal to a certain number? And that certain number was 174? So let's write the entire equation again, just to check. lower, we already know that that meant x, plus the middle part, which was x plus 1, plus the higher one, which was x plus 2. Now that is equal to 174. So what did x mean? X meant 57, right? And so 57 plus 1 plus 57 plus 2, which basically those two, this one means 58 and this one means 59, that would be equal to 174, does it? If you don't know and you don't want to use a calculator and you want to do it fast, then let's add. So 7 plus 8 is gonna be 15, plus 9 24, and so 4, and you put a 2 here up top. 5 plus 5 10, plus 5 15, plus the 2 up top is gonna be 17, and so it is 174. So 174 is indeed 174, unless you want to do the contrary. Now, what about the fourth example? We have to divide 156 in two parts so that the higher one exceeds the lower one in 32. What does that mean? Well, we know that x is gonna be the higher, but what is gonna be the lower one if it is lower by 32 numbers? So it is gonna be x minus 32 is gonna be the lower one. Those two, what did it equal? It equaled 156, right? So x plus x minus 32, which is higher plus the lower, is equal to 156. Simplifying terms and putting common variables on both sides, it would give us 2x is equal to 156 minus plus 32. So x would be equal to 188 over 2. Now, how can we simplify this without going on divisions? We shall apply the halves. So half of 2, we know that it's 1. Half of 18 is going to be 9, and half of 8 is going to be 4. So x is equal to 94. But we haven't finished. We have only found the higher value. What about the lower one? So let's pass to the next page. The lower one would be equal to x minus 32, right? And x minus 32 is equal to what? X, we already knew that it was 94, right? The higher number. And if it subtracts 32 to get to the lower number, how much would it give us? It would give us 62. And so that would be the lower number on this list. How could you check it again? How can you clarify that we have gotten the right answers? What we should do is the lower plus the higher. So x, which is the higher, plus the lower, which is x minus 32, is equal to 156. X meant 94, plus 94 minus 32. These two subtracted gives us 62. That would be equal to 156. Is that true? So 94 plus 62. 4 plus 2 is going to be 6. 9 plus 6 is going to be 15. 156 is indeed 156. What happens next? Last question. What does it say? We have to divide $1,080 between A and B so that A receives 1,014 more than B. How shall we do this? Alright, so we have two different statements. That A shall be 1,014 plus B. It receives that amount of money more than B. Now what happens? That A plus B, both numbers, must be equal to the amount that we are going to be divided. 1,080, right? So what does that mean? A is equal to what? A is equal to 1,014 plus B, right? That is added to B, and that is equal to 1,080. We do the following. We treat the B's as if they were variables, right? The simple variable. 2B is equal to 1,080 minus 1,014. Why the minus sign here? Well, it goes to do the opposite. Since it was adding, it passes to the other side to subtract. What does that subtraction give us? That subtraction is giving us a value of 66. And if we apply the halves, the 2 is multiplying, right? So it goes to do the opposite, which is going to be dividing. The half of 2 is going to be 1. The half of 6 is going to be 3. And of course, the half of the other 6 is also going to be 3. So B would be equal, therefore, to 33 over 1, which is the same as saying 33. But we haven't finished it. We still have to find the A. How do we find the A? That's the prime question. A is equal to what B had plus 1,014. Do you remember? Yes, of course. A received 1,014 more than B. So, if B is equal to 33 plus 1,014, alright, so 3 plus 1 would be 4 and 3 plus 4 would be 7. So, it would be 1,047. That is the answer for A. Now, of course, don't do that. Don't do what I just did here in the adding, okay? It works for some cases, but once you go over the tens, it won't work. We already have A, but how can we check? How can we verify it? Just an L, alright? So A plus B. A plus B, we know that it is equal to 1080, right? A is equal to 1047, and B is equal to 33. So let's do the add, just to see if it works. So, we add those two numbers. 7 plus 3 is 10, so 0 and a 1. 4 plus 3 is gonna be 7, plus the 1 up top is gonna be 8. We pass the 0, we pass the 1, and so it is 1080. It is correct. And with that, finished 5 exercises about linear word problems. I hope you have learned a lot from it, and I hope you have enjoyed the whole video until the end. So I'll see you all next time. So